The cup and the league all to be won. Everyone knows there's a job to be done. And with a team so fine, I'm proud they're mine. We'll be singing the song. For real bars of Dunfermline Athletic, and now we are on song. For real bars of Dunfermline Athletic, and we'll go marching on.
The Dunfermline Athletic Former Players Association podcast is sponsored by Starna Apparel. Affordable and stylish clothing born on the terraces. Just head to www.starnaapparel.co.uk.
Welcome to Walking Down the Holbeath Road, the podcast brought to you by the Dunfermline Athletic Former Players Association. This month we'll rewind back 40 years ago to 1985, when the Pars were top of the pops. Well, not quite, but they became the Eastenders. We speak to some of the people involved in the recording of the club's first ever song, which marked the centenary season of 1985-1986. We hear how the idea came about, memories of the recording, the famous visit to Pebble Mill, and the promotion-winning season of 85-86. So get your record player out, or your CDs, and sit tight and enjoy this episode. Before we get into all that, 1985. Live Aid takes place at Wembley Stadium in front of 72,000 people and an estimated global audience of 1.9 billion. Jennifer Rush has the best-selling single with The Power of Love, which spends 5 weeks at number 1. But the year marked the 100th birthday of Dunfermline Athletic Football Club. Known as the centenary season, the club would start their celebrations on the 7th of August 1985 with a 1-0 friendly win against Sir Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen. But more importantly, they have their eyes on the charts and look at releasing their debut club song.
So now BBC One drama as we pay our first visit to Albert Square to meet the Eastenders.
In here, isn't it? Ain't working. Rich? Well, he ain't going to answer now if he didn't answer before, is he? Oh, careful, half hour.
On the 19th of February 1985, the BBC debuted their new flagship TV soap based in East London. It would be called EastEnders. The show proved a massive hit with the nation and also the supporters at East End Park, who started chanting the TV theme tune on the terraces. This then inspired club director Blair Morgan to capitalise on the potential publicity the club could gain by linking the hit TV show with our very own Eastenders.
I was invited to the centenary dinner, and I remember that. Anyway, and a lot of folks said, "Oh, Eastenders, a great TV, and that. And we're Eastenders as well. We should do something about it." And of course, one of the things I did in the law practice, I acted for a lot of bands. I did not a lot of music work, but enough to the local bands, Nazareth, Big Country. Dunfermline had a fantastic music background at the time, and the football club were doing well, and it was our centenary, and then talking about Eastenders, and a lot of folk were saying, "Oh, we should do something." I thought, well, the theme, I didn't particularly like it, but I think it was very memorable. The theme song to the so. I thought, why don't we do a record? And of course, the other directors are going, "Oh, get stuffed." And I said, "No, right, we can do this. I'll do it. I'll organise it. You don't have to do anything." Okay, fine. So I wrote to the publisher and said, "Look, we want to change the words and record the record." And they said, "Yeah, fine, carry on. We got permission. No problem." There was no argument. And I sat down in the house with my son. But anyway, and we wrote the words. So we are the boys from East End Park. We've been on the go for 100 years, and so we wrote the words. And it took me. I have to say, we're the team in black and white. I was saying, I need something to rhyme with black and white. And Sean said, "And we're getting it right." I said, "Well, I was thinking of something else that rhymes with black and white, but we'll not go there." And so we wrote the words. Then as I acted for the lads in Nazareth, and Dan McCafferty was a really strong Pars fan, and they said, "Oh, we'll help you in, and we'll sing." And then the Sods were away on tour when we had to record it. They were away, and but there was enough of guys around, and the guys that played in bands locally, who were really good. Without them, we would have struggled. They were good singers, and they kept the thing. And we got the record made, and got it put out there.
The man tasked with producing the record was then Nazareth guitarist Billy Rankin. Here's Billy telling us how he got involved in the task ahead of getting the football club to record the song.
To talk about it, we need to go a wee bit further back than 1986, back to 1980, just when I joined Nazareth. And at that time, I was a West Coast Rangers supporter. But when I moved through to Fife and bought a house in Dalgety Bay, now this, for any of your listeners from Dalgety Bay, was the original Dalgety Bay, which was just a collection of houses. It was, before the big metropolis that it is now. And I bought a house on 1 St Colm Road, which some of your listeners might remember. That was the kind of start of it. Darryl, our drummer, stayed down at the bottom, right on the waterfront of Dalgety Bay. Anyhow, I digress. Because of that, because I moved through to Fife, Dan, our singer, used to go to East End Park and watch the Pars quite a lot. And he said, "You should come along." I said, "No." But I used to go along when we were back for tours and stuff, and I became quite a supporter of Dunfermline Athletic. So when Dan and I were asked to help with the making of the single in 1986, and he said that we would be delighted at the time, and then I went, oh, are we? And then they said, "Oh, but you need to actually get into the recording studio and do this record with them." And that's when Dan said, I'm not that handy in a recording studio. I mean, he'd only done 13 albums with Nazareth at that time, so it wasn't too good in a studio. He said, no, he said, "I tell you what, Billy would be much better." He was a bastard, because he knew it was going to be a shitstorm. So we booked a wee studio in Edinburgh, and Blair Morgan, the director of Dunfermline at the time, a good personal friend as well. In fact, I think he went to school with Pete, our bass player. He picked me up in his car, and we went and picked up big Jim Leishman as well, made it into the studio, and the players all came through, and the first thing we had to do was lay the backing track down. So we sent the team, along with Jim and Blair, to the pub for a couple of hours, and that was our first mistake. It wasn't a good idea, because my job eventually was to try and find a few of the soberest players that were able to hold a tune and stick a microphone in front of them, and then record them 6 or 7 times until it sounded like a whole team singing. I can tell, I don't want to name names, but there was some singers were better than others. John Watson, great striker, couldn't hold a tune. Honestly, as Billy Connolly would say, it was like, listening to a goose farting in the wind. But lovely guy regardless. They weren't drunk, but they weren't sober either. So it took a wee bit longer than we expected. So we didn't have the time to record the B-side, which was a great wee tune written by the team coach Gregor Abel now. But he'd written this great wee Dunfermline song, and we didn't have time to record it that night. So I had a 4-track tape recorder at my house. So a week later, Gregor dropped by and we knocked out the B-side in about half an hour, just him and me and a guitar and a drum machine and stuff. Now, I get why the EastEnders theme song was made to represent the Pars, but I personally think Gregor's song should have been the A-side. I'm just saying that, okay? Oh, hey, one last memory about that night in Edinburgh, the recording session. When Blair was dropping me and Big Jim Leishman off at my home in Dalgety Bay, well, my home in Dalgety Bay was the first stop, and I was saying goodnight to them both, and I was leaning in with my arm over the passenger door, and Jim suddenly, and without warning, I think Blair was trying to hurry him up or something, but without warning, he said, "Aye, right, cheerio, Billy, and thanks again," and he slammed the car door shut on my fingers. I was like, I imagine it was having your horn stood on by Big Doug Rugby or something like that. No, actually it wasn't. Nothing could compare with getting your horn stood on by Big Doug Rugby.
On the evening of the 11th of February 1986, the team, aided by local musicians from the likes of Kelty Musical and local bands such as Seven West, The Syndicate and White China, travel through to the REI recording studios in Edinburgh. And here's BBC Reporting Scotland capturing this moment.
When the definitive history of Scottish pop music is written, it probably won't include that, but Dunfermline will merit several mentions. Barbara Dickson, Nazareth and Big Country are just some of the famous exports from the Five Town, and now a new act is competing for the big league. Dunfermline Athletic Football Club, who this year celebrate their centenary, are recording a song, and they're launching it onto the pop market.
Yes, you're right, it is the theme music for EastEnders. As any football fan will tell you, Dunfermline play at East End Park. Clever idea. The words could catch on too. They pose no trouble at all for the team or for their more musical supporters. But did you notice all 50 la-la-las? And what did last night's recording session in an Edinburgh studio just happen to coincide with? The latest episode of The Real EastEnders. It was the perfect way for sound crew, producers and Dunfermline's newest recording stars to get into the mood. The club's entrance into the pop world coincides with Dunfermline hitting the high spots on the football field as well. They're tucked in second place in the second division, looking good for promotion. But what about their singing? Manager Jim Leishman was modest and preferred, as every good football manager would, to see the players doing their singing on the field.
Our first team, Alan, comprises a lot of good football players. I think there's a lot better football players in our first team than our singers behind me here.
What about yourself? Will you have any voice left for shouting at them from the dugout come Saturday?
If we're getting beat, Alan, I'll have plenty of voice on Saturday to shout at these guys.
But you won't break out into EastEnders, I hope.
If we're 2-0 up, yes, I will.
5,000 copies of the record will be printed in the first instance, but should demand outstrip supply, the record company will be ready to cash in. And should EastEnders reach the charts, remember, you saw it first on this programme.
Next up, and just a couple of days later, on the 13th of February 1986, the team travel down to Birmingham, where they will perform the song live on daytime TV show Pebble Mill at 1. One of the players who travelled down to Pebble Mill was Stevie Morrison, who joined the club in 1981 from Aberdeen. He would play over 270 games for the club, and here's Stevie recalling his memories of that famous trip.
Just the wee things I remember, like, but all I took was my toothbrush and I think a bar of soap or a tube of soap or something. I didn't take any change of clothing. I just went down with my toiletries. We went down to Birmingham, got to the hotel, and us being us, we were just straight to the bar and had a few drinks. And the one thing I remember was, I don't know how it happened, but John Watson, who went down, was a big winker. I don't know too much to drink, however, we were all drinking, and he turned a couple of the tables over for, and it wasn't like John to lose his temper, but something must have happened, and he turned a couple of tables over and sent to his room, and Big Lease is like, right, you're no singing tomorrow, you know what I mean? And I think the rest of us were thinking, I wish I'd turned a couple of tables so I didn't need to sing. So I remember that, we drank in the bar, and I also remember me and Willie Carrigan, God rest his soul, we carried on, we went into, I think, Birmingham City Centre, went to a nightclub and danced the night away till about 2 o'clock, me and the bold Willie. Get back to us for where, got up on must have been the Thursday, went into the studios and went in, but because Winker had turned the tables over the night before and was a bit disruptive, he was barred for going, so he had to stay in the hotel while we all went to the studios, sang the song. I've watched it a million times back, and it's not the best, to be honest. We certainly will not give Big Country a run for the money. And I remember looking at some of the hairdos. Mine especially was shocking. At the time you think it's brilliant, but looking back it was absolutely horrendous. And it was a good old bad day out, Paul Coy and that. We sang a song and we came back up the road and get back to the original. We recorded it. Well, we went to studios in Edinburgh, I remember, 3 or 4 times to kind of rehearse, leading up to going down to Birmingham. It's a good laugh going through into a proper recording studio. And there were a couple of, I think they were the Dunfermline boys, but I can't remember who they were, who kind of helped us and did a bit of fine tuning for us. But it was just a mad 24 hours, to be honest. But it was enjoyable back in the day, and been on singing live in telly, because it was live. Pebble Mill was live, so we sang live in the telly. No outtakes or anything. And listen, it was a good laugh, 24 hours of mayhem, basically, and on a telly, and something you can look back on and kind of, laugh at yourself. But no, it was a good trip. Night out in Birmingham for nothing. So all in all, it was a fun 24 hours.
We are Flow Digital Pharmacy, and we are proud to sponsor the Walking Down the Holbeath Road podcast. Our easy-to-use app is a convenient way to access your NHS prescription medication, and our team of trained pharmacists are helping thousands of people to access the support and medication they need. If you're registered with a GP who's based in England, you can use the Flow app to securely and conveniently send them NHS medication requests and arrange delivery to a location of your choice at a time that suits you. This means you can avoid the hassle of contacting your GP and making unnecessary round trips to eventually collect your prescription. Find out more at weareflow, spelled PHLO. That's weareflow.com.
All morning in rehearsals are Dunfermline Athletic Football Club, and they're celebrating, well, their 100th anniversary this year, aren't you? Yeah! See what I mean about the problems they've been giving us. But here's a bit of a teaser for you. What did Dunfermline Athletic Football Club have in common with this lady here? Well, you'll be finding out later on in the programme. People out the misery and tell them what the connection is between yourself
Yes.
and Eastenders and Dunfermline Athletic. What have I done with my scarf?
Where's mine?
Oh, here they are. There's a scarf for you, a Dunfermline
yes.
Athletic scarf.
Yeah, can I put it on?
Yes, please do.
Like
Let me
this?
tell everyone at home, the connection is that Dunfermline Athletic are celebrating 100 years of being in existence. Eastenders this month is celebrating 1 year of being in existence. But the connections are not just as tenuous as that, because Dunfermline Athletic play on East End Park. So they have issued a record, they've set their own lyrics to the Eastenders theme. We're going to hear it now, and I thank you very much indeed. Let's join the audience and sing along with this.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dunfermline Athletic.
Come along.
1985, Dunfermline Athletic Football Club were formed. In 1903, Dunfermline Athletic moved to East End Park. In 1912, they played in black and white for the first time, and the local newspapers referred to them as the Pars. In 1926, they entered the Scottish First Division. In 1961 and 1968, Dunfermline Athletic won the Scottish Cup.
The boys from East End Park, we've been on the go for 100 years, and we're the team in black and white. Football is a game, we're getting it right, and come along to East End Park. Come and watch us win, there's no better reason, we're the team they call the Pars. Promotion is our aim, and this is our season. La 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 la
After the performance, they were told they had become the first act to sing live in front of a studio audience on the show, and a viewing figure of 3.2 million households in the UK watched the performance. On the 22nd of March 1986, the record was officially released by Rebel Records and would go on to sell just over 4,000 copies, making an impact on the Scottish singles charts. Just. But by 1986, the club were top of the pops. Well, top of the Scottish Second Division. Crowds were increasing and the interest in the club was growing. Playing a major role in this was manager Jim Leishman, who, as well as the first team manager, was also the club's commercial manager. Here's Big Jim.
That was a great time. The time we're going to be talking about was a great time in my life for the football club. I took over when there were 34th out of 38 teams. Then the next season, we lost out in the last game. We thought we had one promotion. We just missed out. And I'm glad, in a way, when I look back, I'm glad, because it gave me another time to build a stronger team. And the season we're talking about, 85, 86, our centenary year, was just great. But I built a great team. I had some great guys, Davy Moyes, Gary Thompson. You know, I was building a strong team. And at home, we were really, really quite hard to beat that year. And some great memories, some great games during that time. It was fantastic. As I said, it was our centenary year, and it was the centenary, and it was the first year of the Eastenders. It was their first year, now our 100th year, and we thought, I think it was Blair Morgan, to be fair to Blair, he came up with this idea with his son. His son wrote the lyrics, I'm sure. And we thought it was a great idea, and then we produced this. I can remember going across to Edinburgh to the studios to record, and all the guys, when you see the clips, the players that were there that were part of that season, great boys like Gordon Wilson, Gordon Conley, Ian Gordon, and some great boys in the early stages of our resurrection. I call it the resurrection, and it was great. And when we went across to the studios, well, my God, what a riot. Jim Bowie, Big John Watson, trying to control him. Wee Ziggy was a character, and I had to tell him, look, Jimmy, get up the back. You're talking to him. Get up the back, Jimmy, where you're at the school. You get up there out the road, because you're not going on Thursday. He was working, and Big John wouldn't shut up. Me like, John, you're getting on my tits. I can remember saying that. Martin, sorry for swearing, folks, but so Big John went up there, and we recorded. Billy Rankin was terrific. Billy Rankin was part of Nazareth at the time, a great guitarist, and he came and helped put it all together, to be fair. And he went down to Pebble Mill with us. From start to finish, it was unbelievable what we come up with at the end. It was great. What we thought, right, we're going down, the record would come on, and we would be singing, but you wouldn't hear us singing. You would hear the record. The people sitting in the house would hear the record. It was possible, eh? And they learned the words, to be fair. We went into Pebble Mill at 1, and with the floor manager, etc., and we're getting shown round the studios, and the musicians' union says no, they had to play the music. Because if we put the record on and we were singing along to the record, it was doing them out a job. So really, so they're protecting themselves, they're protecting the union. So we're all standing, and they played. The first thing we heard they played, and it was, "We're the boys from East." It was too slow. So they got up to speed. And when the floor manager, he says, "Right, guys," and you had the live studio, and Anna Wing and Paul Coyer, they were in with the fans. And they all got Dunfermline's cars, so they're swaying about like an audience, and the crowd. And she says, "Right, I'm going to shout 1 minute, and I'll shout 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. When I get to 5, I'll go do with my fingers, 2." And she pointed, and just as she pointed, Stevie Morrison flapped it. Oh, yeah, mate. The whole place erupted. You had to be there at Stevie's face. Oh, sorry. I was climbing our bodies to try and get to away. And the players were all laughing, were smiling, and the audience were, because it was just a and Stevie, honestly, it was the funniest thing, although I was going off my head because I was wanting to get this right, for the viewers. And when we got to and her fingers went up, 5, 4, 3, and I said, "Stevie, you dear Stevie," and boof, we went into it. It was great fun. It was great fun. You can see on the video that there's a couple of boys missing, John Watson and Wally Carrigan, God bless them, but they got too much to drink. We're playing Wraith Rovers on the Saturday, and I'm looking at them trying upstairs. I said, you're not getting in the film tomorrow. You're not getting in. Explain that to your mums, right? Oh, you're not getting on. And that was it. So we went in to do it live, and it was great, Magnus Magnusson, Paul Coyer, Anna Wing. That was the 3 main people. Anna Wing was representing the Eastenders, of course. And it was great. It was great. And then we trained, I can remember going after it, to Alan Evans, who was assistant manager at Aston Villa. But Brian Little, I think, was the manager. And I phoned up Big Alan and he says, "Look, can we do a bit of training?" So we went down and trained at Aston Villa's ground on the Thursday. Great facilities and whatever. And came up on the Friday playing Wraith Rovers. And I got from my interview on the Friday night. "Well, Jim, you've released the Eastenders song, I remember." I said, "Aye, great, good laugh. Will you give us a chorus tomorrow?" I said, "I just if we're going in 2-0. If we're 2-0 up on my way." Well, Christ, John, who abandoned the weddings or whatever, he scored 2 goals, the big guy. Well done, John. And I'm out of the dugout and conducting the Dunfermline boys at the Dunfermline end at the start, and they're all singing this, do. Well, the referee booked me. Kind of mind you, he come up and booked me for incite and throw. I says, "I'm singing. I'm just singing." And we drew 2-2. I know that. It was 2-2. It was 2-2 at the end. The boys were knackered. They travelled up and down, but great. And had a great season. I'll never ever forget the last game when we got promotion. It was just fantastic for me. For me, it was fantastic. For the team, it was fantastic because they were a great bunch of boys. They were all good at their job at that level at the time. To get promotion for the first time was just what an honour for me and the boys, because they were all, they all got a belief in Dunfermline. They all wanted to play. They wanted to not let the fans down, which was great. That was part of the team building.
The Pars would go on and win promotion that year to Division 1 with a total of 57 points and scoring 91 goals. Cult hero John Watson finished the season as the club's top goal scorer with 24 goals in 37 games.
Watson. A brilliant goal for Watson. 9 minutes on the clock. And a goal fit to win any championship. Been on a goal for 100 years now. We've been dreaming black and white. Football is our game. We're getting it right now. What's our name? A claim to fame. We are the Pars, Dunfermline Athletic. Come along to Eastenders.
So there you have it, the Eastenders. We couldn't finish this podcast without catching up with then assistant manager Gregor Abel, whose B-side of the single is still played at East End Park to this day. It was named the Pars song. We travelled through to Clackmannanshire recently to catch up with Gregor and hear his memories of recording that song.
Two recordings were done separately in 2 different days. We had the day when we did the whole team came in and did the Eastenders one, and then I went in later on with Jim, just the 2 of us and Billy Rankin, and we did the basically the Pars song from there, and it was a new experience for me because I hadn't been in a studio before, and actually to go through it. But as what maybe you don't know, I never played on the record. It was Billy played, he did the backing track and everything himself. I just did the vocals. So I didn't do any of the playing. I let them worry about my guitar playing. I don't think it was good enough at the time anyway, but it was good fun, absolutely. And basically the song came about because I was messing about in the guitar, and they were talking about getting a B-side for the record, and I put that together, and I got a surprise when Blair Morgan phoned me up. Gregor, they're going to do that record you did. I said, that's fine. Who's singing it? He says, you are. So, and that was, they told me to go through the studios, and that's basically, it was history from there, you know. I don't know if I should tell this story, but it was fun. Basically, we recorded with the team on the Tuesday, and we went down on the Thursday. The Wednesday night to appear on the television on the Thursday. So none of the boys knew the words were to do it off heart. So Big Leish says, right, listen, this is the deal. If we rehearse and get the words off by the time we get Carlisle, you get a porno movie. So basically, that's what happened. They're the boys from East End Park, and then we all the way down to, I think we got it done by Echo Fechin. It was fun. But and then we got into the studios, and of course the band, the orchestra were there, and they started, we're the boys, as in the television thing. It was slow. We all panicked because we'd done it in virtually double time in the studio, and then they had to change their arrangement and what have you for it. But it went around all right. Dunfermline, Dunfermline Athletic are the team we all adore. Dunfermline, Dunfermline, we cheer when we see you score. We have a team in Fife, they play in black and white. They call this famous team the Pars. They've won the Scottish Cup and they are on their way up. This is a team that's going to go far. Oh, Dunfermline, Dunfermline Athletic are the team we all adore. Dunfermline, Dunfermline, we cheer when we see you score. Well, Leishman is the man who will steer them to the top. His voice can be heard booming round the ground. His heart has always been with that famous football team, especially when he hears a winning sound. Oh, Dunfermline, Dunfermline Athletic are the team we all adore. Dunfermline, Dunfermline, we cheer when we see you score. There's glory in the past, alas it did not last, and the team's fortune they went up and down. But now these days have gone and we're on the ball again. Good times will soon be coming to the town. Oh, Dunfermline, Dunfermline Athletic are the team we all adore. Dunfermline, Dunfermline, we cheer when we see you score. Oh, Dunfermline, Dunfermline Athletic are the team we all adore. Dunfermline, Dunfermline, we cheer when we see you score.
We hope you enjoyed this special episode celebrating 40 years since the Eastenders record. And of course the Second Division Championship winning season. Watch out for later on this year when we'll announce a special reunion event celebrating the team of 1985-1986. As always, thanks for listening, and we look forward to walking down the Holbeath Road once again next month.